Hello, everyone. Welcome to Self Love You. My name is Jenna Ryan, your self-love life coach. Today, I'm going to talk about the topic, don't put yourself down. Don't put yourself down. I have a lot to say on this topic, and it's going to be a really good podcast. Good for you if you are a people pleaser and you tend to come off as a doormat and others walk all over you. This is going to be a real good podcast for you to strengthen you and to help you to affirm yourself and to stay connected to your truth, to your true self, even in times when you're feeling shame for existing, even in times when you want to hide, even in times when you feel vulnerable or you feel like you're the wrong one in the room. This is going to help you to hold on to yourself. Hold on. And I want you to think about it. Let me just start by saying your power. What is your power? Your power is your truth, is yourself, and your ability to stand firm in who you are, walking your path, validating yourself, and not being taken off of that. That's truly where your power center is your ability to stay rooted and grounded in God, in your truth, in authenticity, and to support yourself, validate yourself, even when forces externally or even internally would try to take you off of that spot. So visualize for yourself your power being like, you could even think of it as being on the tip of a pen. Like on the tip of a pen, like that pen, the whole world will try to get you off of your point. They'll try to get you off point. And they may not even do it on purpose, or they may do it on purpose, but regardless, your job is to stay on point. You can also think of your power as being a circle. Like I see a red circle in my mind. Like this is your powerhouse. This is your power center. And anything that would get you out of this power and this understanding of who you are in the moment and your value and worth and right to exist and experience of being shame-free and perfectly imperfect, that place is where you belong at all times in all interactions, even when you feel weak, even when you're sad, even when you feel vulnerable. No one should be able to take you off of your point, that place of power. Now I'm going to talk to you about don't put yourself down. And I say this because I believe that this is a learned behavior for someone who was potentially in childhood parentified, someone who had to learn to put others' needs ahead of their own in order for them to get the minuscule needs that the bare minimum needs they had to get. So in order to get those bare minimum needs met, they were required to behave, to feel, to think in ways that would lessen themselves and boost up the other in interaction, because that was the only way to survive. And so that's a learned behavior to go less than others. And we can learn to love ourselves, and we can learn how to, self-care. We can learn all sorts of things. We can go through grieving. We can go through healing. We can do all of these things. But unless we understand the dynamics between us and other people in engagement and in conversation and in asserting our needs, our values, our wants, unless we understand the tools, the dynamics of the situation, we will continue to feel less than, abused, and whatnot, because we're actually doing it to ourselves a lot of the times. We're always doing it to ourselves if we sit in it and allow it. So don't put yourself down. Putting yourself down, I believe, is a trauma response as well. That's such a good word that people are using often in the vernacular of the collective consciousness of today in social media. It's a trauma response to put yourself down because it really helps you to deal with the internal anxiety of having to stand up for yourself, to stay on point, to stay in your power. Sometimes you may have to endure anxiety to do that, especially if that part of you has not fully been validated internally and you're just kind of not sure, confused a little bit. Putting yourself down in the presence of others it's a trauma response. It's a good tool for getting your bare minimum needs met, which maybe that is, maybe you needed shelter, maybe you needed just someone to love you. So you became a people pleaser in order to receive love. So it was a good survival tool. It's a survival tool. However, as an adult, you no longer need the same survival tools that you did growing up. So now you're able to stand up and realize who you are and realize that you're worthy and realize that it's okay to be imperfect. And just because you're imperfect on one area or on one day or in one encounter or you made a mistake or you're imperfect, it doesn't mean that you now from here on out, black and white thinking, you have to put yourself down to this person, place, thing, entity, whatever. Okay? So if you're in a job interview, and let's say you handle a situation and it wasn't ideal, but it was the best you could do at the time, that doesn't mean from here on out that you're not a quality employee. It doesn't mean from here on out that you need to come up underneath someone who didn't make that same mistake. And I'm saying it like that because, there's so much perfectionism that comes in the trauma of being a doormat, of having a people pleaser mentality, an external locus of control, and not knowing your value. There comes a lot of techniques that are harmful to you today. A lot of, it's even a bit, you could even call it I don't want to call it that. I don't want to call it malignant narcissism, but you can actually have traits that are situate you up to be prey for someone with malignant narcissism, putting yourself down. People who have malignant narcissism want you to be less than. They don't want you to be as good as them because they're so insecure and so filled with shame and so out of touch and they don't have insight. And so they need you to be less than. And you may be really good at being what they need. And part of that may be putting yourself down. So I have a lot of reasons why putting yourself down is not the best behavior trait. It's not the best route. Yes, it may get you likes, it may get people to like you, but ultimately, does it really? No, it does not. When you're in an encounter, let's say you're having an adult conversation in a relationship and you're negotiating terms of what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you, and you're wanting to get along and you're wanting to communicate effectively, it may seem like the best, coolest thing to do, the most comfortable thing, the thing that will really resolve your anxiety and the other person's anxiety is to put yourself down and say, well, I'm just really not good at this and I can't do this and I can't do that. And just really just be steeped in shame throughout the encounter. And if you're in a dynamic where you've got to, maybe you're asking for a raise or maybe you're expecting a raise or maybe you are in a relationship and you feel inadequate and you're going to go and sit down and talk about the relationship, then there may be a tendency to put yourself down because you feel like if you do that, you'll get farther in the conversation, and the other person will be disarmed, and the other person will feel more comfortable because you just put yourself down, and then they can have a little ego boost. Or maybe it's a bridge. It's a tool that you use as a bridge to connect with others. But I'm telling you right now, it's not a good bridge. It's not a good bridge to ever put yourself down. It's okay to apologize. It's okay to acknowledge that you're wrong when you're wrong. It's okay to, be realistic about your flaws, but it's not okay to just come to the table putting yourself down before you even open your mouth. And a lot of that is anxiety, and it's anxious attachment. It's all kinds of stuff. So putting yourself down before you even get started is going to skew your clarity. Okay, when you're in an interaction, you've got to come from a place of boldness, of assertion, of knowledge. You need both feet planted on the ground. You need to be centered in your truth. You need to be on point with who you are. And the person that is the best you, that is on point with who you are, knows that you're worthy and valuable, and that even if you make mistakes, you're still a bad ass. You're still the schnizzle, okay? You're still great. You're still fabulous. You're not going to allow your own mistakes or your own insecurities cause you to get off point, to cause you to not be assertive, to cause you to not expect your needs to be met, cause you to not be respected, because you're standing firm in who you are and you're not putting yourself down internally or out loud. When you put yourself down in a group setting or any kind of setting, then you leave yourself wide open for manipulation, because then your mind goes down that path, down that rabbit hole. I never could do that. I can't do that. It happened. I can't do it. And I know. And if you're in that position, you're on the wrong path, because you're going to be easily picked off. You're going to be easily distracted, easily manipulated. The conversation is going to be easily circumvented off of the track of you and the important things that you need in your world. Not that it's all about you, but you have to be able to stand firm in who you are and believe in who you are and put yourself up. Build yourself up. That would be the opposite of putting yourself down. Building yourself up. And I'm not saying above others. I'm just saying equal. You're an equal being. And even though the people you're talking to, you may not know their faux pas because you may not have seen them directly, but I promise you they have faux pas. No one's perfect. Don't fool yourself into thinking everyone else is perfect and you're the only one who makes mistakes and has flaws and, does whatever. So putting yourself down is a people-pleasing behavior that does not serve you in interaction in any way, shape, and form. It also harms you, and it can leave you feeling depressed, and it can put you in a less than position. And when you're in a less than position, that's a power position, and you're giving the other person your power. And you don't want to be power related. You want it to be intimate. You want it to be relational, where you hold your own power and they hold their own power. Everybody has their own power. Nobody needs to be taking yours, and you don't need to take anyone's. In fact, putting yourself down could be a form of trying to take other people's power by playing a role. It could be considered in the codependent world. It could be considered manipulative to put yourself down to get what you want. But it's not what you want. You're not going to get what you want because, if you put yourself down and say, I know I'm this, I'm that, and the other person's like, yeah, you are this and that. And then they go on their path and you don't get what you need in that realm. You can always apologize. I apologize. If you need to apologize, I apologize, but I'm still the schnizzle. That's really kind of what you need to tell yourself, right? So I apologize, but I'm still good. When you put yourself down in a conversation or question yourself or doubt yourself, you are operating in a shame bubble. Okay, putting yourself down is a shame bubble, and it really will not help you ultimately. It puts you at a disadvantage in a conversation. You just need to hold your head up high. Put your back straight. Plant your feet. Because you do not want your preconceived notion about how you're not good enough, how you're less than, to cause you to make decisions that are not in your best interests, or to fail to stand up for yourself and assert yourself in the scenario. You don't want your inability to stay on point to cause you to act in ways or behave in ways that are not in your best interest, because that's going to take you away from your point. You have to stay on point, even if it makes you feel anxious, even if you question yourself somewhere inside. You just have to say, I'm going to go with me. I got my own back. I'm going to take my own side. Even though I'm unsure right now if I'm the greatest person in the world or not, but I'm going to go ahead and give myself the benefit of the doubt. Okay, you don't want to give away your power. And I think putting yourself down is a sign of perfectionism, where you're expecting perfectionism in your entire existence. So you are not perfect and you do not meet those standards. So you just come and just put yourself down. You just lay down like a doormat. I know I'm not worthy, so I'm imperfect, and I'm supposed to be perfect, and I'm not. So here, have everything. I don't want anything. I don't deserve anything. And you're right. I'm terrible. Okay, that's putting yourself down. It puts other people above you, and it causes all this other mess stuff. Like you start idolizing people, putting them above you. Is a power situation. It keeps you in the victim mode. It keeps you in the learned helplessness mode of I am less than, and everybody else is better than me, and everybody else knows more than me, and I don't know enough. I don't know anything. Somebody please help me because I can't. It puts you in this helpless position. I'm not saying this is conscious. I'm saying this is all subconscious. Whenever you put yourself down, it causes you to abandon yourself, abandon your post, abandon your circle, abandon your point. You're supposed to take care of you. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. You're supposed to love yourself. Love your God with all your heart. But we have to love ourselves, because if we don't realize how valuable we are, we can be swept away. We have to stand firm knowing who we are. Not being confused, but really just always taking our own side. This does not have anything to do with improving yourself. This doesn't have anything to do with not becoming, the best you can be. Sometimes you have to look at your flaws in order to improve. I'm talking about interactions, interacting with others, going in for a raise, facing something that you're dealing with at work, facing a relationship issue, facing an issue in friendship. Resolving conflict is really what I'm talking about. I'm not saying you don't need to improve. We all have to improve, but there's a place to do that. There's a place for improvement, and if you have that generalized experience of putting yourself beneath others, then you need to hear this, because you probably overdo it. You see yourself as less than, and so when you see yourself as less than, you need to turn up the dial that you are just enough. You're perfectly imperfect. And whenever you put yourself down, you are dissociating because you are worthy, but your mind has a comfort level of getting off point. And anytime you get off point of your truth and your value and your worth, anytime you get off point, that I'm considering, for my purposes and my talks here on Self Love You, that's dissociation. You're dissociating from your truth, and it may be more comfortable, it may be a pattern, but whatever the case may be, snap back. Snap back to your point. Snap back to your truth. Snap back to your assertion and your power. And don't give your power away. Don't put yourself down. Don't do it inside, and don't do it to others. Don't do it as a way to make other people comfortable. Your job is not to make the world go round. Your job is just to be you, the best you can be, and make decisions that are in line with God's purpose for your life, with your point. So what else? I've got, whenever you put yourself down, you cannot set boundaries because you're in no place to set boundaries if you go in putting yourself down. So if you're someone that has trouble with boundaries, you probably have trouble with putting yourself down, because if you put yourself down in advance, then you don't even have to take care of yourself because you just gave all the power away, and you don't have to set any boundaries. You don't have to make anybody mad. You can just say, I know I suck, and here's the deal. Whatever you want me to do, I won't even, squawk about it. Because you can't set boundaries if you are putting yourself down. Because someone who puts themselves down is too busy putting themselves down to notice when their boundaries are being violated. It's internal boundaries. You have to have internal boundaries that are surrounding that point, that circle, that is your power. You have to have internal boundaries that say, oh, nope. Come back over here. Stop going over there. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop denying yourself the same worth as everyone else on the planet. Remind yourself through affirmations, through understanding God, through spirituality. Remind yourself that you're valuable and worthy, and you belong in the center, in the middle, equal with everyone in the room. Even though you've made mistakes, even though you're imperfect, even though you feel anxious, feelings are not facts. You can feel anxious, but stay on point. Because as you get more and more accustomed to staying on point through anxiety and through all the forces trying to pull you off track, if you can stay on point, then you'll get stronger. It's a muscle. So build yourself up. If you have a habit of putting yourself down, start to build yourself up consciously. It may not feel comfortable at first, but remind yourself of how valuable you are, how great you are, how good you are at this or that, what makes you incredible. And if you come into a scenario where someone is used to you putting yourself down, or maybe they put people down, then you're going to be able to go toe to toe in that situation because you've already got some tools this muscle that you built up for yourself. So whenever someone does try to put you down, because that's when it starts getting, a little bit more difficult. You're on to higher levels of this game called life. When it's not you putting yourself down, it's like literally other people trying to put you under their thumb. If you are already ready for that, and you're already prepared, and you have your affirmations, you're not going to be perfect. It's going to take a while. You may never be perfect. I don't think anybody's ever perfect, right? You may get taken off track every once in a while. But if someone does put you down, you need to have ready statements that come into your mind immediately. And remind yourself that it's okay for me to be human. It's okay for me to be imperfect. It's okay for me this person not to like me right now or not agree with me. It's okay for this person to actually think that I am less than. They can go ahead and think that way. That's okay. That's them. That's not my problem. I cannot solve it. I must stay on point. I'm not responsible for that person's feelings about me. I don't have to prove anything to that person. But if they put me down, I'm going to remind them of the fact that I'm not going to go down. I'm going to stay right here, equal, level, fabulous, amazing. No, not going there. Good try, but I'm not going there. And when you do this enough and you do this around people, they begin to respect you. And this is how we gain respect of others, is by setting boundaries and by having ourselves positioned so that we realize our value in conversation, in engagement, in interaction, in relationship, so that we're standing up. We're not a weak limb. We're not like a weak link. We're not a fence post that's, been blown over by the wind. The wind can't blow us down. We're like a steady elm tree, oak tree that's been growing here. We're steady, and you can't knock me down. You can't take my sense of value from me or take me off my path, because here's what I need. My path is to get my needs met in a way that is moderate and beautiful and fulfilling for all parties, as well as to meet the needs of others. It's a consensus. That's what you're looking for, is intimacy and respect and equal value. So don't ever put yourself down. Don't have shame for existing. Stand up during important communication and build yourself up beforehand so that you're ready if the wind comes and tries to blow you off your path. And if you do get blown off your path, forgive yourself and get right back on point. Okay? Just notice. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you so much for listening. You guys like, share, and comment. Someone had said, if you do this, Jenna, you will get more clicks. And I just want you to know, I do not do this channel for clicks. I've been doing this channel for years, and I never cared about clicks. And I looked down one day, and I did it like every month or so, every couple months, maybe every 6 months. I looked down one day, and there were 50,000 people who were following. And I never did anything to try to get clicks. I don't do things to get clicks. I don't talk about people. I could talk about people and get a lot of clicks if I wanted to. I could do a lot of things to get clicks. But my purpose here is not to get clicks. My purpose here is to share this information with the people that need it and want to hear it. And you're just going to have to come back to the channel. If it's not being served up, you're going to have to come back, and hopefully it will reach the right people. I'm not about the clicks on here, because that's just not what I'm here for. And I think anytime you become over focused on getting clicks, you're going to lose something that we have here. You're going to lose some of the things that I have to offer, and it's not going to be pretty. So I like pretty, and I want to stay right where I am. And if it grows, it grows. If it goes down, it goes down. If nobody wants to listen to me, fine. If there's one person that hears and is able to get healing, is able to help them, then I care about the one person that's listening right now, and that's you. Thank you for listening. I'm Jenna Ryan, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.